Welcome back to the She Thrives Influential Women podcast. I am your host, Lori Murphy, and I am an empowerment coach for women, public speaker, published author, and just so much more. It is so good to have you all here today. And a little bit of background on me for those that are new. My journey in recovery from alcoholism really is what stemmed me on this journey of self-discovery and healing. On November 12th of 2011, I found myself at my very rock bottom and just knew that I could not take it anymore and I had to make changes. And throughout that journey, I had discovered so much about myself and so much self-love, self-worth, healing, growth. And it led me to my calling and my passion and my mission to be able to guide women through their own personal journeys and showing them that they too, can find their own self-worth and find their truest meaning and live to their fullest potential. And part of the reason I started this podcast was to not only share my story, but to bring other women on to be able to share their influential journeys and their stories and how they were able to overcome and grow and heal and just be able to help others in their own way. So today I have a very special guest, and Noemi Beres. She is a wonderful woman that I was connected to very recently. And the energy when I talk with her is just, it flows. She is just vibrant. She's wonderful. Noemi, because I say it, I'm still learning how to say it correctly, is the co-owner of Podcast Connections, a podcast booking agency that helps entrepreneurs and experts grow their businesses through insightful interviews and meaningful connections. With a background in online marketing since 2007 and a master's degree in Danish Literature and Language, Noemi is a linguist, content creator, and passionate organizer. A self-taught artist residing in Cyprus for 13 years, she creates unique mixed media collages on canvas, drawing inspiration from memories, nature, and Mediterranean life. Through courses in art therapy, color therapy, and positive psychology, Noemi has experienced firsthand the healing power of art, which she uses to help others find relaxation, self-expression, and emotional resilience. Noemi, how are you today?
Thank you so much for having me today, Lori. I'm very well, thank you. This is, a Friday evening for me, so it's perfect.
Yeah, it's what, 6 p or well, more like around 6:30 p.m. there,
Yes,
correct?
correct. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 11:30 here a.m.
Yeah, I'm in your future, right?
Yes. Tell me, what does that look like?
Looks very bright.
I love it. We were just talking a little bit before the show about the beautiful weather out there that you have, right in Cyprus, and how it's still 80 degrees and just lovely for November.
Yeah, I love it here. I moved here 13 years ago because I always wanted to live by the sea, and yeah, a dream came true in 2011. So, and since then I just really enjoy this place as
Yeah,
my home. I can call it my home now.
absolutely. And so where did you live originally?
I was born and raised in Hungary in Central Europe, and I moved around a bit in Europe, and I became an exchange student when I was 16. So I lived in Denmark for a year. That's why I speak Danish, and that's why I went to university to study Danish, and then moved to Ireland after Denmark when the EU opened up for us Hungarians. And then 7 years in Ireland. It was great, but very, very rainy and cold. So yeah, we had to move. So we ended up here in Cyprus 13 years ago.
That's amazing. I love that. You've definitely have seen a lot of different places and a lot of experiences through, all of those different, places that you've been able to live. And
Absolutely.
it sounds
It's
like
fun. Yeah.
Cyprus is your favorite.
Yeah, I can say that I still love Ireland. It's part of my heart is still there because I love the Celtic culture, Celtic mythology, Celtic music. So it's always a place in my heart for Ireland. But I love Cyprus too, so
Yeah,
I like it everywhere. So I can adapt to different places. So
absolutely. I with my husband and I talk about going to Ireland a
mm.
lot because we're both from the Irish heritage.
Yes,
Murphy, and my maiden name is Dowling. So it's a
okay.
it yes. So we have that Irish heritage. We had an Irish themed wedding. Like we just
Um,
even my in-laws, they just visited Ireland just, I think, last month and just sent us pictures, and it was so beautiful and lovely. And I just cannot wait to go and experience Ireland. I told my
yes.
husband that he might want to, get his passport ready because maybe we'll go live there.
It's beautiful. No, it is a beautiful country and with a rich history and amazing people. So I have fond memories of Ireland. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so so you're in Cyprus with your husband and you have a son. Is that correct?
yes, yes,
Yes.
correct. Yes, he's 12. Yes.
Yes. So he's only been in Cyprus.
Yes, basically. Yeah, he wasn't born here, but he was born in Hungary, but we then moved back to Cyprus. And yeah, basically he lived all his life. But we visit my mom a lot of times, like 3, 4 times a year. So we go back to Hungary and he speaks fluent Hungarian. Obviously, that's his mother tongue. And he's
Hmm.
bilingual. He's like English and Hungarian. So yeah, and he speaks perfect British English.
Yeah.
Not like me.
Is your husband from Hungary as well?
Yes, we are both from the same town. Yeah. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So it sounds like you have had such a wonderful, life so far with your husband, experiencing all these things together. It's got to be just awesome to be able to have those experiences and share that with him for sure.
Yeah, it's been a journey for sure. And living in different countries and yeah, experiencing different cultures, it's really interesting and to experience that. It's not always easy though. There's always a time to find your home. And but now in Europe, I mean, especially Cyprus is so multicultural. So it's so easy to live here because, yeah, first you don't really have to speak Greek because you can get away with English everywhere. But I've been learning Greek for a very long time, but I didn't, still don't speak it very well. But yeah, it's fun for sure.
That's awesome. Now, are you and your husband, you both own the podcast Connections? Is that correct?
Yes, correct. He's a founder and I'm the co-founder of the company. And we started it in 2020. It was, it was a birth of the pandemic, COVID. We had an online travel related business from 2007 up till 2020. But because of the pandemic, we had to pivot and that was it. That was, podcast booking agency. That was a whole new world out there. And I always tell people that I didn't even listen to podcasts before 2020. So for me, it was, yeah, I'm a quick learner and I had to learn everything very quickly in 2020. Obviously, you had to earn money when
Yeah.
everything stopped and the whole world fell apart. So, and that was it. So we had
Mhm.
to build up our business again and
Yeah.
start from scratch, basically. In the past 4 years, but luckily, I mean, we reached the 6 figure this year, so it was a
Congratulations.
very thank you so much. It was a very intense and journey and involved a lot of hard work up
Hmm.
till now. So
Well, yeah. I can understand how hard work goes into building a business, and you kept plugging away at it. And I mean, you introduced me to a guest who's going to be coming onto my show. In a few weeks we're going to meet, and I cannot wait. And she's got a very powerful story. So I know that you are very good at what you do and helping people
thank you.
getting on podcasts and podcasters finding guests. Like I love that is even something, that's out there and available for podcasters, because it can be I remember thinking to myself before I met you, like, eventually I'm going to run out of women. You know, eventually I'm gonna run out of people to invite on the show. I haven't run into that yet, but but knowing that there's people like you out there that are willing
Yes.
to, you know, give us podcasters a helping hand, that's awesome. Now, how did you and your husband fall into that?
Luckily, we had a mentor and an Irish guy, and he was into podcasting and the whole podcasting business way before anyone else in Europe.
Mhm.
And he started doing podcast guesting like 10 years ago or even longer. And he started his own podcast booking agency. And then he started to teach people how to start their own podcast booking agency. So that's how we ended up. And he basically helped us to set up our own business.
Uh-huh.
There was a lot of people there during COVID. Everybody, I mean, I was really worried that like, oh my gosh, like if every second person is going to start a podcast booking agency. So there's a lot of competition out there. But because people don't really, consistent or persistent with many things in life, I think, I don't know how many people started, like 50 people started, and then like 3, 4, 5 of us are still there from
Mhm.
that group. So there's not a huge competition here in Europe. I mean, there are obviously, but it's not a problem. We have plenty of people for everyone to get on
Yeah.
podcast. So that was it. And from one day to another, we just built a website. And then, okay, let's start doing this. And so we reached out to female e-commerce entrepreneurs in the US, and they were our first clients. And we just focused on them, solely focused on them at the beginning. And we started with just a handful of clients. And then, yeah, we expanded our network. And now we work, e-com experts, healers, leadership coaches, you name it. So
Yeah.
very different niches, different versatile clients, and we just love them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that, you have such a lovely personality. I don't think it's hard for people to want to work with you, because you give people just a sense of comfort. And, I mean, I've only talked to you through the computer, and it's just
Yes.
like, I'm like over here going, I would work with her in a heartbeat.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But I know like one of the things we were talking about was you're a self-taught artist as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that and how you found your way into becoming an artist.
Yes, thank you for this great question, Lori. So I always loved art and going to art galleries and museums since I was a kid. And
Mhm.
luckily, my parents traveled a lot, and we as a family, we traveled a lot together. And wherever we went, that was only in Europe, like we went to Italy or we went to Poland or, different European countries. And we always visited churches, we visited museums, galleries. So kind of like art was in my blood, in my veins.
Mhm.
And then I don't know, in my teenager years, I started to paint, and I was in my abstract phase, that was grunge style. So I was dressed like that. And so it was fun and listening to music like that. And so, yeah, so I just really discovered myself back in my teenage years. And I did some kind of jewelry making. So I was into anything that I can do, two hands. And I loved it. And then it was really interesting because collage making really fascinated me, because you don't really need some kind of special education as for painting or drawing to do that. So for me, it's like, wow, collage is so cool. You can just, scissors, paper, magazines, books, whatever, and you can just make a collage out of anything. So
Mhm.
it was really appealing to me, and I just loved it. And there was this moment when I was expecting my son 12 years ago, when I was just sitting at home in my parents' house, and I was just getting together some stuff. And there was a piece of cardboard in front of me, and I started to glue different things on that cardboard, and like buttons and textiles and pictures from my favorite magazines. And it's like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is so, so calming. And I don't want to go into details, but didn't have an easy pregnancy. So it really calmed me down, and I needed that. And then that was that moment that I have to make collages from now on. And that was 12 years ago. And luckily, when I get back to Cyprus, I got into kind of a group of got together with a group of artists, and our town became the European Capital of Culture in 2017. And I became involved in that together with my husband. We were volunteers and also as an artist. And I had art installations, and I was invited to Bulgaria, to another European country, to have doing like a group art installation together with other European artists. So, and I had a group exhibition in Cyprus. So it was really buzzing, and I really enjoyed that artist community here in Cyprus and in different European countries too. And then COVID hit. And then again, everything stopped again. So no exhibitions, nothing. And I told you that before we started our conversation that I lost my dad to cancer in 2019. Then I lost my grandma, my dad's mother, in December 2019. So it was just there was a lot of tragedy going on in the family and a lot of loss and grieving. So it was a lot. And I lost my business in the early 2020. So I didn't really have time to create art or, just be engaged with art. And it was hard. And that was during lockdown when I realized that, okay, this is getting too much here. I'm going to stop watching the news, stop watching TV, and I'm just going to start making collages again because this is my go-to thing. So nobody told me that like, oh, do art because it will help you to calm down and, just focus on so many other more interesting things than, just the COVID. And so every evening I went into the bedroom, I put my headphone on, I was listening to music, audiobooks, or podcasts, or anything. And I just started to work on collages, or these hands-on collages that I kind of, quote unquote, invented during that time. And it was so soothing, and it was kind of a form of meditation for me. I never really meditated before, but then I realized that like, oh my God, this is a type of meditation, what I'm doing here. And it was just so amazing that it took me some time, obviously took me months, but I just started to feel better.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a huge revelation. And when I realized that, oh, it helps me. So after COVID, I, completed a couple of courses about art therapy, positive psychology, color therapy, and because I'm doing podcast guesting, so I can talk about how to be a great guest, but I can also talk about how I can help people with art to heal, to recover from anxiety, from trauma, from grief, and so that's kind of my quest to do that with the help of art.
Absolutely. So one of the things, like, I mean, I relate a lot to that because, as I had mentioned before, I am also a self-taught artist, and I didn't have that, when I was younger, that love. I wouldn't say love. I didn't have a love for art. It just wasn't something that, I put a lot of thought into. I would do my art classes, and that was one of my favorite classes, and I would, do my artwork. And a lot of times my teachers loved the work that I came out with, but again, wasn't really anything like I didn't follow artists or anything like that. I wrote poetry as a way to kind of go work through my parents' divorce and the things that were going on in my home life. But I really didn't get into painting until about maybe 2017 or 2018. I think it was actually 2017. And I was going through a challenging time. And I think that was when I was really at the depths of my healing journey, where a lot of things that I had suppressed over the years were starting to come up. And I was struggling with a lot of depression. And one night I'm out to dinner with a group of friends, and one of them went to get up to leave. She said, guys, I got to go. I'm going home to paint. And I said, can I come with you? I'm like, it just dawned on me. It was just like, I need to do something. Can I come with you? And I did it like an abstract painting. And I'm not even an abstract. And I just kind of went, and it felt so good. There was like this huge calming relief that just came over me. And we were listening to music. And just painting away. And I got so excited. I left her house that night, stopped at Walmart because it was the only place open, and picked up some canvases and some paints and some paintbrushes. And I think just about every night I would do some type of painting. And from there, it just went from like these like mediocre paintings to actual landscapes. And I would share them on social media and people were buying them. And I wasn't even trying to really sell them. I was just like, here, look what I
Yeah.
did. But it was more or less because I found an outlet that brought me serenity. It was
Mm.
almost like a meditation.
Yes.
And so because you've taken, art psychology classes, what is would you say the science behind why art, having like that artistic side and getting involved in art can be very therapeutic and calming and bring that sense of peace?
Yes, I mean, art really promotes relaxation. I mean, this is probably the most soothing and relaxing thing that you can do. And you don't have to be an artist because so many people think that like, no, I'm not good at it. I was never good at painting or drawing at school. So somehow that stops them doing anything at all when it comes to art. And I always tell people, you don't have to show it to anyone. This is just for you,
Mm-hmm.
for your own health. You just it really helps us to feel more calm, more centered and grounded. It's just like doing a meditation. I mean, it's exactly the same feeling. You're just doing something else, but the monotonity and the repeated actions, it just really, really helps our brain to relax. And it's also amazing that it really helps to express emotions that otherwise you are not able to do. Maybe you can put that in words, you can write about it, you can talk about it. But when it comes to art, when it comes to a painting, when it comes to a drawing, no matter how disturbing it is, it's still a safe space to express your darkest and deepest emotions. And I had that phase too when my dad was in transition and I started to make these very, very dark collages, digital collages. And I showed it to my friends on social media, and they liked it, but obviously they thought it's like there's something definitely wrong there. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot going on there, but it was still a safe space for me instead of taking medication or self-harm or anything like that. You just delved into art, and that really helped. It really helped to get into a more peaceful place. And also art really promotes mindfulness and that kind of an increased awareness to to manage our stress and anxiety in a calmer, in a better way that we do. And also it helps with your self-esteem, because what I noticed, I can only talk about my own example, that I love creating art. I love the journey. And when it's ready, I'm kind of sad because I enjoy so much the journey. So when can I just put just one more thing on the canvas? It's like, maybe I shouldn't, because, less is more. So I just stop doing things. And then I can't wait to start another, just a blank canvas, a new one again. And it's just so amazing. And also when you finish something, it's kind of brings you pride and joy. That's like, wow, I've done this. I completed this. I'm capable of this. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be an artist to do that.
Yeah.
And obviously you can be part of an art community, and you can join the community where you can get together with like-minded people. And community is just so important, whatever you do in life. And
Mm-hmm.
if you find like artists or like-minded people who just love drawing or painting or crocheting or whatever, it also brings you joy. And yeah, it just makes your life better and
Yeah,
happier.
that's awesome. And I can say from my own personal experience, I think that is in a nutshell my story with it. Like I remember one night I was also going through a healing journey with I started having a trauma that happened when I was a teenager that I kind of just, like I said, suppressed, buried. It started surfacing and I started having flashbacks. And there was one night I could not sleep. I could not sleep for the life of me. I tossed and I turned and I just kept playing this tape in my mind of that situation. And I was like, I gotta paint. And I literally got up, it was like 12:30 at night. I turned the lights on, and all I did was I had a black canvas, and I took out some neon color paints, and I just started splattering paint all over. Like, I didn't care what it looked like, but just the release and just kind of letting it all out. And I think during the process I cried, and then I was just like, and then I felt energized, and there was just this release where it really, like I said, it had that peace effect, and but it also just let those emotions come out of me in a way that I've never expressed before. And it was a healthy way, um, which helped me be able to sleep,
Yeah.
and be able to, relax, because now I'm not thinking about that, and that tape isn't playing in my mind anymore. But it definitely helped with confidence too.
Yes. It's
I
amazing.
it was like I went from posting them on social media to, I had an opportunity to put them up in a local cafe.
Mm.
And I was nervous because now I feel like I'm, kind of vulnerable. It's one thing to
Yes.
put things up on on a social media platform, but when it's in person, it's almost like I felt exposed. So I put my paintings up and I left. And the next day, the manager of this cafe called me and said that somebody complained saying they were paint and sip material, and asked me to take them down. We
Wow.
had a whole event planned that I had over 100 people coming to, with live music, for a launch.
Mm.
And I had to go on for social media and cancel this event, and tell them why. And I was devastated, so devastated. And I had another art show lined up to have them hung up in another cafe across the street.
Yeah.
So when that, the person from the other cafe called me about getting myself set up, I told her, I almost backed out.
Mm.
I almost backed out. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't think this is a good idea. And I told her about what happened at the other cafe.
Yeah.
And she was just like, art is an expression of you.
Exactly.
She goes, she's like, I encourage you to bring your paintings here and we'll hang them up. She goes, she was an actual artist, right? This other person didn't have any art background.
Yes.
She
Yeah.
just had somebody come up and say that they looked like paint and sip quality paintings. And she was like, she didn't think about it. She just, nope, take them down, because they're not to my standards or whatever.
Mm.
And the other
Yeah.
woman's just like, art is not about being perfect. It's about expressing who you are. It's a form
So
of
true.
expression.
Yeah.
And she goes, I want you to bring them here. So I did. And we hung them up. And, I got such a better experience because the people there were so supportive, not just her, even the other workers. And they're like, they're such beautiful paintings. You would do nice work. And then I'd go like once a week and get a cup of coffee and just sit there, just to kind of see what other people were doing and were
Yeah.
thinking, and not really saying that I was the artist. And I'd get such great positive feedback, and some of the work sold, and it was just a much more positive experience, and that helped build my confidence. But I really truly believe too that just getting out there and overcoming this fear of being
Yes.
exposed, and
Absolutely.
taking a chance, I think that also helped me build the confidence to build a business.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. So true what you just said. And it's so amazing when you see the little dot there on your, on your artwork, like it's sold, or it's not because of the money, because it usually won't sell
Exactly.
for $1 million or something like that. I wish. But it's just so, yeah, it's just so amazing. That's like, oh my gosh, somebody loved it and somebody liked
Ex-
it. And yeah, it
that meant
just,
more to me than anything, was that
yes, yeah,
that it brings people some joy and light into
yes.
their homes, and that they love it so much that, and it's unique to them.
Yeah,
no one else has
no.
that.
Exactly. It's like part of your soul, a part of your heart they will take it over. I remember that I donated many of my collages to, mostly cut and paste collages, to my son's school when they had Christmas fairs and, different events, Christmas and Easter fairs. Yeah, these two they have. And it was funny to see when someone won my artworks, and there was one mom, and it was so interesting. So I went to grocery store and I met this mom at the grocery store, and she came up to me and told me, like, "Oh my gosh, I won your artwork and I'm so happy for it. And thank you so much." And that, it meant a lot, because obviously it meant something to her. And yeah, so it's kind of my, part of my heart or soul is there with a couple of people around. And yeah, it just makes you happy.
It does. And I love that they now have like art therapy,
Yes.
because there's it's not just how it can be meditative, like you said, it relieves stress and it helps you, release emotions, but it also is so beneficial to your health and your
Yeah.
well-being, your mental health and your physical health, because now that you're reducing your stress, you're not likely to have issues with high blood pressure, you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
heart disease,
Yes.
all those things that are bad for our health. Like we hear about, like, eating healthy and exercising, but very rarely do you hear somebody say, make a collage or pick up a paintbrush.
Yeah, they never tell you that. Like, yeah, just get a medicine, or do something, or eat healthier. But sometimes just make art. And it's not doesn't necessarily mean like maybe art like that, like collages or paintings. But for example, my other passion is music. I love music, and
Mhm.
I'm not a
Mhm.
professional musician by any means, but I always loved drums since I was a little girl. It was very, and so I
That
grew
had
up.
to have been releasing.
Yes. No, actually, I never had drums like that. No, it's no proper drums.
Oh.
I got my first drum when I turned 40, and I always wanted, not always, but for a couple of years, I really wanted to have a hang, or a handpan, you can call it. It's a
Hmm.
beautiful instrument, and it's very pricey too. And my mom bought that for me for my 40th birthday, and my dad just passed away, so that was my first birthday without him. And so my mom told me, it's like, you know what? I would love to buy this for you. And it's like, Mom, this is too expensive. I mean, it's a lot of, I mean, like a couple of like thousands of dollars or euros. It's a very expensive instrument. And then we found this handpan hangmaker man in Hungary, and in a little village, or where he lived. And we went there to pick up my hang, and it was beautiful. It's handmade, and I still have it, and I love playing on it. And it started. So because once you have one drum, you will get more. And
Yeah.
I know that from drummers. So then I got a tongue drum for my son, to play on it. Never plays on it. So that's for me as well. And I bought a frame drum. And my recent gift to my 45th birthday was a djembe drum, which I love. And probably, I don't know why, but that's the closest to my heart. Maybe because the latest, baby. But
Hmm.
I love it, because I just love rhythm. I love music. And yeah, and it's another form of art, again, another form of therapy, music therapy. I
Yeah.
have friends in the US, and they do drum therapy, music therapy with djembe drum, easiest thing to play. So if you buy a djembe drum, it's not even expensive, and you just start to play on it. And when you have a bit of free time, and again, stress release, blood pressure goes down, and serotonin level, just increase in your
Yes.
body, and it was just amazing. So anything that is connected to art, music, dance, moving your body, it's just everything helps
Yeah.
to be in a better
Writing.
place.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And I think, you know, it's all of those things. And it is the
Mm.
being able to sit back and look at or listen to, be able to, have that connection to something that you created.
Yes.
Like you said, like before, it's just like, when you're creating your own music, it's just like, that's mine and mine only. And I made that was from
Yeah.
my heart and my soul. And, it's empowering. It really
It is.
is.
It is indeed. Yeah, absolutely.
And when you were now, Was your father or your mother, were they artistic at all?
My dad wasn't. He was not. But my mom, she was a kindergarten teacher for 40 years. So
Mhm.
obviously she could draw but she's more into writing poems and novels and short stories. And I wasn't into writing at all in my life. So, but I think I got it from my granddad, from my mother's side, because he loved photography and he loved art and drawing. And I think I just inherited all that from him. I love also taking photographs, especially nature photos and the lights and leaves and trees. And so it's like it really lights up my soul. So that's also I love photography, especially since you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to be a photographer to take good photos because
Mm-hmm.
iPhone just that's a perfect tool. And so I probably from my mom's side, it's coming that kind of artistic vibe. And yeah, but they always supported me no matter what. So it was, especially my dad was, I always remember when I visiting them or during these years when I lived abroad, but always went home for Christmas or holidays, and I was sitting in the kitchen and doing something, and my dad came to me. It's like, "Oh, what are you working on?" And like, show me. And it was so much fun to show it to him because he was genuinely interested in what I was doing. Because not everybody does. Like, you can show it to friends. It's like, "Oh, cool, okay, fine, whatever." But there are only a few and handful of people in your life that are genuinely interested in what you do, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I also have a love for photography. I think photography and painting were two things that really helped me stay grounded through COVID. When the
Mm,
world shut down, I was
yeah.
out of work for 11 weeks, like many other people. Many other people were out longer. Um, but if I wasn't painting, I would go out on hikes. Sometimes with, maybe I had some
Yeah.
friends that were also on the trail with us. And, of course, we followed all the guidelines.
Yeah.
But I would sometimes they would kind of just be a little bit ahead of me and I would be at the back taking photos or um
Same here. Same
yeah,
here.
there's this local cemetery that is
Mm,
it's beautiful and it has a lot of statues and a lot of, just beautiful, authentic, just like those beautiful benches, all these things. People like to go to the cemetery to walk because it's a beautiful place and it's so
mm,
big. And I actually went there one day and just spent some time by myself and I was just took a lot of photos and enjoyed the beauty and or going to a little flower garden and taking photos at this flower garden at a little museum that was
yeah.
closed for because of COVID, but they still kept up their gardens.
Mm,
And doing that, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate, having everything shut down and having
yeah.
such restricted, connection with people. I mean,
Mm,
here in New York, they, weren't they wouldn't really even allow you to go over to if you had more than six people in a household, like if they didn't all live together,
mm.
cops were patrolling neighborhoods and they'd have to go and
Yes. Same here. Same here. It was very, very strict in Cyprus. Like
yeah.
it was very wild. And now you mentioned the cemeteries, and I know we were both Scorpios. So
Yes.
we talked about that before. And oh my gosh, when you told me that you are always left behind when you hike because you take photograph, that's me, like absolutely me, because I always like, oh my gosh, I have to take. And I love the tree and I love the light and love everything.
Yeah,
And
let's just
and
say to your
also
friends, listen, you guys just keep going. I'll
I
meet you at the
know.
top.
I'm the same. I'm the same. And also with the cemeteries, like, because some people find it like very strange when you like cemeteries, but I do like cemeteries. And unfortunately, I have to go a lot because of, my family basically is there.
Hmm.
And, but it's a nice cemetery. And, there are the stones and the statues, and they are so beautiful. And
Yes.
it's such a special place
Hmm.
and close to my heart. So when you told me that, like, oh my God, we are so much alike.
It's because we're Scorpios. So now, your birthday, is it coming up?
No, wait, I already had it. Yeah, on the 26th of
Oh, that's right.
October.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
October 26th. I just
Yeah,
had
it's
mine
done.
too. Yeah, mine's
Yes.
done too. I just celebrated it on Monday.
Oh, happy belated
Yeah,
birthday
you too.
then. Thank you.
But Scorpios, yeah, we definitely have that in common for sure. I think
Yes,
that,
absolutely.
we're very passionate,
Yes, we
very
are.
passionate. And I think that that's a good thing for sure, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so do you still get to dive into a lot of art now that you have a very thriving business with the podcast company?
I try my best, I have to say. And I have these pals and phases that like, oh my gosh, I haven't done any collage in the last week. So I really need to get my, art flow and art juices back into my system. And then especially when winter is coming in Cyprus or fall is here, it is no time to go to the pool or to the beach. So just let's do some art. So absolutely, I will definitely do more art, and I usually do more art during winter time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a cozy thing to do, to curl up in bed and just sew my little collages together. And I really enjoy that. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very special time. It's kind of a me time. So I really like that. But I try to squeeze in time into my busy schedule to do some art, do some drumming, photography, anything that lights up my soul. And I think
Yeah.
it's really important to find the time because we will be always busy. And if we just live like that, we will never enjoy that part. So yes, you have to like put away time. And as you said before, I really love that when you blocked time in your calendar to do
Yes.
art. And I need to do that too. So thank you for that tip. Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I've been
important.
sitting here for probably the better part of 2 years saying to myself, it's like not a, I gotta paint. It's an, I want to paint.
Yes.
Like I had mentioned to you, I haven't picked up a paintbrush since probably it was
Mm.
July 2 years ago. And, my father-in-law is a very talented artist. He was an art teacher for 50 years and he just
Wow.
retired, this past school year. And that's what he does on his spare
Mm.
time is he creates these beautiful paintings. Like he's so talented. And he gave me some oil paintings and I've always painted with acrylics.
Mhm.
So he gave me oil. So I one summer was like that July, I was up at our camp and that's what I did was my husband had to go home because he had to work and I was on vacation. So I took a couple nights to paint some beautiful paintings, but I still have those, all those paintings sitting aside next to me over here in the corner
Yeah.
with my acrylics. And I'm looking at my paintings that I have stacked up
Mm.
and I'm just like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going
Yeah.
to have to maybe make some time. So I blocked off my schedule next Friday and put a kibosh to where I'm putting calls.
Yes.
So, because I'm like, I mean, I don't need the whole day, but I do need a few hours to just put on some music and just paint. And I don't even
Yeah.
care if it comes out beautifully and, because my art, even my abstract, or one thing I love about painting landscapes is that they don't have to be perfect because nature's not
Yeah.
perfect.
So true. So
You don't,
true.
it doesn't have to be precise because if you're going on a hike and you look at trees, it's never precise. The ground, the leaves, the flowers, none of it is exact. None of it's precise. So I'll have an idea in my mind and I might even have a photograph in front of me, but I always let my creativity take over and it just kind of goes.
Yeah.
Some of my best paintings were mistakes.
They always do something.
Something something I messed up and stood back and went, "Oh wow." Like I didn't even try to do that.
Yes, I know. Those are the best. Those are the best ones.
My mom has it. It was this painting I did where it's really, I think, more just like abstract. And I
Yeah.
was trying to paint a tree in the corner, like alongside the canvas. I had this idea in my head and I messed it up. So I started kind of just swirling the paint around on the canvas and it made this beautiful wave. And these beautiful colors just kind of blended in together. And I stopped and I went, that's it, it's done. And my mother loved it so much. She's like, I want that. And I'm like, here you go.
Yeah, I love it.
You know,
Yeah, there you go.
she's like, I asked her, I think it was like a Mother's Day present. And she was just like, well, what do you want she goes, I want that painting. And I'm like, okay.
I know
Because
probably the parents are the biggest supporters because my mom loves my collages too, and I gave her many of my collages. And sometimes when I'm in Hungary, I make collages and I just leave them there. So
yeah,
my mom is very proud, and so if someone comes around and says, "Oh, that's my daughter," so she's so
yes.
proud.
Both my
Yeah,
parents have some artwork from me because and
mm,
they just because they or it's like or they like tell people about it, and I've had some of their friends,
yeah.
support my work, and it's just like that was actually, I think, outside of the MLMs that I used to do, it was turning into a business without me even realizing it. And I remember
Mm,
being nervous about it because I'm like, I wasn't trying to make a business or
yeah.
profit out of it, but I was having people reach out and saying, "Can you create this for me? Can you do this
Hmm.
for me?" Um, and it was just like it was a little it started to get a little overwhelming too. And I sometimes kick myself because I stepped away from something that was starting to really thrive without me even having to try.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. And it's also sometimes what I don't want to do with art is to just work on it as a business because
Yes,
once it becomes a business, it's not a passion project anymore and it's a whole different vibe. So
exactly.
I mean, right now I just want to keep it as it is because it
Yeah.
brings me joy, it brings
Mhm.
me happiness, and I just love it. So I don't want to sell it. Plus, most of them are very, very personal to me, and like
Yes.
family members are on photos and old postcards that I got from my grandparents when I was in Italy, in Venice. And so I really don't want to, take them away. My
Hmm.
dream is to create like a coffee table book
Hmm.
album of all my collages and not just take beautiful photographs, not me, but someone like more professional. And I would love to write the stories down, what's
Yeah.
behind on each and every collage. And so it would be like a nice album or something like that
Hmm.
to keep my collages there. And yeah, you can still sell that and I don't have to sell my collages. So it's kind of my idea. And I keep telling this on podcast, but now I have to do something in order to do that too. So
Yeah. I
to
mean,
reach that dream.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the work behind you. That is some of the work you've done
Yes,
on the wall
yes.
behind you. I mean, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
absolutely beautiful. Like I can't stop looking at the
Thank you.
floral one.
Thank you.
Like if you kind of
Yes.
see my eyes wander past you, it's because my eyes keep looking at that because I love it so much, you know.
Yeah. Actually,
You're
the postcard in the middle of the big one, the one that you're looking at, I got it from my dad, and it was very, really, really precious to me. And then I got this very traditional tablecloth from one of
Mhm.
my cousins, and this very Hungarian traditional stuff. So I put that there too, and then lace that I found at my late grandma's drawers. So everything was just coming together and I put it together. So that's why they are very close to my heart.
Yeah, I can see why, especially because it's like, your dad's a part of that, your
Yes.
grandmother. Because I know we talked about it before the podcast started about how that was a part of the healing process because all
Mm.
of the collages you've done for the most part are family memories, photos. So now you're
Yes.
you're going back to those happy times while you're
Yeah.
creating this art. So it's like you're filling your memory full of happy times to take away the sad and
Mm.
releasing the sad through through creativity.
Yes. So very nicely put, but yeah, that's very true, Laurie. Yeah, that's it. It is what it is. Yeah.
It's very powerful, and it's so if there's I would say that if there is anybody out there who's listening to this podcast who you know has things that I wouldn't want to say struggling with, but they're stressed out, because I can say that there's a lot of stressful things that are happening around us every
Yeah.
day, especially currently, that are
Mm.
outside of our control, and you need a healthy outlet
Yes.
to help you calm down. Pick up an instrument, pick up a paintbrush, do some collages, write, all of that
Yeah.
is art. And
Journal, anything,
yeah,
anything.
it can really bring you to a very peaceful, calming place. And you'll be happy that you did it.
Mm. Very true. I agree 100 with you 100%. Like whatever happens in the world, you can't really take control over that, and it's out of your control. It's everything out of your control. But you can always protect yourself from all these things that happening around you. And that's what happened to me during COVID as well. And everybody would just keep talking about numbers and how many people passed away and how awful is this. And then I just shut that down and I just moved into my art bubble. And it's like I can't cope with everything going on in the world, and I don't have to. So that's why I escaped. My mom was a bit surprised and always told me, it's like, yeah, but you're not up to date in politics, or not up to date in numbers, you know, how many people, when what's happening with COVID. And it's like, I don't want to be part of it. I want something else. I want something more, and which is not about current state of anything.
It kept me, because like even with like social media, like I remember back in COVID, like one of the things, you know, because everyone was so focused on the numbers of loss. And I went and engaged on, I think, like a news platform where I said, can we take a minute to step back? I know that I go not to take away from the losses,
of course,
but let's take a moment and let's take a look at the people who've survived, who have survived this, and to see that there's some hope. And I got some pretty unkind lashing out from
I
that.
can imagine.
And I wasn't, my intention wasn't to say, you know, well, forget about the people whose lives were lost, because I absolutely, I just feel like sometimes we also have to try to take a look at the good, to realize that there is hope and that we can overcome something. Instead of looking at the bad, because I think that we, especially our media across the world, wants us to keep us in a state of fear.
And the negative and the fear. I mean, because it sells. It's a great marketing technique.
But
it's not healthy. It's not healthy.
And that's another reason why I want to get back into the artwork, is because it'll, you know, to keep me away from that and just focus on something good. Create something beautiful. And because I always try to focus on the silver linings, the things that are peaceful, the things that are good, and try to remove myself from anything like the negativity, like like the numbers. Like I was upset, I was getting myself locked into that too. And I was just like, I'm going to choose faith over fear. I'm going to focus on the good. And you know, I'm going to stay away from this, and I'm going to go paint something, or I'm going to go hang out in nature. And, you know, because even hiking is like, that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other topic.
I love it too. I love walking. I'm a walker too. So I walk daily, and I just love it. If I can hike. There's not too many opportunities right down here, but you can still hike here too. And I'm planning to walk the El Camino. That was the plan for 2025. So hopefully I can do that. And so I love walking. I love nature, and it's really soothing. Again, that's another conversation. I have actually a walking page for people, just walk every day. It's called walkeveryday.co. And I just, you know, I want to inspire people just to walk, even if like a few hundred meters, and that's fine. And you don't have to be like a professional athlete to do that. And you don't need much, just a pair of shoes, good shoes.
Do I have that link?
I don't think so. No, I don't think I sent that to you, but I can do that after.
Because I can put that in the description for the podcast, so that people, because I'm going to find it. I'm going to use it. Because I love to walk too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And absolutely. Since our camp closed, I haven't actually gone because I would loved that, because we would be in nature, and I'd get up early on a Saturday, Sunday morning, and I would just go for walks. And
it's beautiful.
I feel like ever since we closed our camp, and I haven't been doing that, it's almost like I haven't felt that serenity that I felt like just a couple of weeks ago. So it's like anything that can help make us be in a healthier, happier place, like walking. I mean, like you said, this is a whole nother topic of conversation.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
And we have to wrap this up.
we could talk here for hours.
people will be sitting here, be like, wow, are these girls ever going to stop talking? No.
No, no, two Scorpios together in nemesis.
Don't you understand? We have so much to say.
Yes, we always do. Not everybody understands it, but we do. We do have a
Yes.
lot.
And that's why, Noemi, we're going to have you come back and,
Thank you.
because I know like you have so many things that you can teach us about podcasting. We could talk about, the walking, the hiking. There's so many other things that you and I could dive into, and I definitely want to have you come back and, talk about those things for sure.
Thank you, Rory. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm happy to come back and continue the conversation.
So if people want to contact you, how can they find you?
The best place probably LinkedIn. If you type my name in, Noemi Beres, you find me there. There's a tiny microphone sign next to my name, and that's me. And also, if you want to, know more about podcast guesting, it's Podcast Connections in plural in one word .com. And you can always find my artwork on noemiberes.com. And I'm also on Instagram. But if you type my name in, you'll find me everywhere. So.
Well, if you get me all those links, and I'll make sure to put those in, like I said, into the description, and people can just click on it and be able to connect with you. And I highly encourage you all to click those links and connect with her because she's an amazing woman. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today about your journey with art.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to be back.
And everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. If you would like to connect with me, if there's any way I can be of service in your journey, please find my links in the description. You can find me. I'm also on Facebook under Lori A. Murphy, Empowerment Coach for Women. I am on Instagram under Lori_Murphy_coaching. And you can also find me on TikTok. But the best thing to do is to email me at M as in Michael C, empowerment@gmail.com. All of that information will be for you in the description. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I will leave you with this. Let go of fear and let your spirit shine.